The NFL season is finally back. Johnny Talk Sports here to provide you with my Week 1 NFL predictions. But before we get to that, I do want to address that this is the 4th season here on Johnny Talk Sports. And it's been a good experience so far, but I don't know what the future holds for this channel at the end of the football season. Long story short, I'm just going through a lot of stuff in the real world into my personal life. Like, I'm just having a lot of issues with myself. And just being on YouTube is just really the focal point of what's causing my problems in the real world. So I'm not really going to get into too much detail about it, but I'm really not sure if this is going to be the final season or not. I was reluctant to even be on here this season, but I felt like I owed it to you guys to at least do one more season. I just don't know after that. I feel like this is the final season here on Johnny Talk Sports. I just feel like there's a 95% chance that this is the final season. But I feel like I owe you guys one more season. So let's just enjoy what we have now, and we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But I promise I'll let you guys know as soon as possible after the season ends what the future holds. I'm sorry to start off with an announcement like that, but I feel like it had to be made as soon as possible. So let's get to the Week 1 predictions. It starts off Thursday night with the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. If only the Falcons would have run the ball in the fourth quarter in Super Bowl 51, this could have been a battle of the last two Super Bowl champions. But nope, couldn't happen. The Eagles are expected to start Nick Foles. At least it's being speculated that he's going to be the starting quarterback in this matchup. But on the Falcons side, Steve Sarkisian, in his second year as the offensive coordinator. A lot of Falcons fans like myself thought that it was just a horrible hire by Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn could be on the hot seat if the Falcons at least don't make the NFC Championship game. I felt like last year maybe Steve Sarkisian was playing a little bit conservative, like his play calling was a little bit more conservative. He was kind of playing it safe. It seemed like he was afraid to be aggressive, and I'm hoping in year 2 he's a little bit more aggressive. And we'll see what it's like on Thursday evening, but I still think the Eagles are going to win this matchup, especially with the Eagles having so much talent back from that Super Bowl team. I like the Eagles in this matchup. It may not be a lock of the week, but I think the Eagles are going to win this game. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns made all of these nice moves in the offseason. Jarvis Landry, drafting Baker Mayfield. They had all these great moves in the offseason. But I just don't, and by the way, trading for Tyrod Taylor, that's another one. All these moves in the offseason, it may help the Browns win a couple of games, but I don't think they're winning this one. I still like the Steelers in this matchup. I'm going with Pittsburgh. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck's first game back. I think it's going to end in a W. And the reason why I think this is maybe Andrew Luck coming back on the field, I think it energizes the team. I feel like it really energizes the team in this matchup. It can energize the defense, which the defense really struggled last year. They were one of the worst passing defenses in the league. So maybe that will kind of spark the team a little bit. Hopefully on the defensive side of the ball. But if the Colts do lose this game, I think it will be because of defense. Because the Colts didn't really improve their defense last year. But they did improve the second biggest thing they needed to improve, and that was the offensive line. And I think the Colts will win this game. I think the Colts might win a couple more games than they did last season. The Tennessee Titans versus the Miami Dolphins. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. I just think the Dolphins, I just feel like they've lost so much on their team in the last year. Losing Jay Ajayi, losing Jarvis Landry, losing Julius Thomas. I just feel like they've lost so much in the last year. I feel like this could be, they've lost Ndamukong Suh, just to add to that. So I think this is tanking mode for the Dolphins now. Whether they go 0-16 or like 2-14, I'll make this statement. Kind of a bold prediction, kind of not. But I think the Miami Dolphins will have the worst record in the NFL this year. I think they're going to go about 2-14 or 3-13. but the Miami Dolphins will have one of, if not the worst records in the NFL. And they'll end up drafting Justin Herbert or Drew Lock with the first overall pick. So there we go. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is going to be a better matchup than what people think. Year 2 in the Kyle Shanahan regime, the first full year of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think it starts off that well, though. Jerick McKinnon, the 49ers running back who they signed in the offseason, season-ending ACL injury. But I think the Vikings do win this matchup here. I kind of just like the addition of Kirk Cousins. I think this is the one player that the Vikings needed to make a run for the Super Bowl. And I know what you're thinking. The Vikings defense looked horrible in the NFC Championship game. I understand that. But a spark ignited in the Eagles when that pick 6 happened. I feel like Kirk Cousins is a way better quarterback than Case Keenum is. And this could be the year the Vikings could finally get it done. Although maybe not, but we'll find out sooner rather than later. Next, we have the Houston Texans versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots have lost a couple of pieces during the offseason, and they have Julian Edelman suspended for the first 4 games of the season. This could be an upset pick, but I just can't bet against Tom Brady. Even if the Patriots lose, there's no way they're going to lose 2 in a row. I'm going to take New England in this game. Although if the Texans won, I don't know if I'd be surprised necessarily. But I will take New England. Next to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. Both of these teams have a big piece on offense missing. The Buccaneers have quarterback Jameis Winston suspended, and the New Orleans Saints have Mark Ingram suspended. But the way I see it, the Buccaneers have a bigger piece suspended, a more valuable piece suspended for this game, which is why I'm picking the Saints. Next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New York Giants. It's going to be nice seeing Saquon Barkley's NFL debut against last year's #1 defense in the NFL. I don't think it translates to a win, although I think this game could be closer than what a lot of people are saying. I think this is going to be a good game overall, but I like the Jaguars to win this matchup. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills are coming off their first playoff appearance in a long time, even though it was kind of disappointing. And the Ravens, well, they might see Lamar Jackson on the field, or we might see him on the field sooner rather than later. But I think the Ravens win this game. I feel like there's a fire lit under Joe Flacco's tail right now, as soon as they draft Lamar Jackson. I feel like the Lamar Jackson era in Baltimore could be starting sooner than we think. Next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are my surprise team of the year, but they seem to never beat the Chiefs, which is why I'm picking Kansas City in this matchup. Seattle versus Denver. I'm taking the Seahawks. Although I feel like this is the pick where I'm probably going to be wrong, because the Seahawks may not have the best offensive line, but I feel like the biggest piece that will determine this matchup is the Broncos' defensive line versus the Seahawks' offensive line. With that addition of Bradley Chubb in the offseason, I think it's going to open up more pass rush in the Broncos' defense. So that could be something to watch out for. But I think Seattle wins this matchup. I think it's going to be very close the whole time. I feel like it's going to be a very low-scoring matchup. But I think the Seahawks come out on top. Next are the Washington Redskins and the Arizona Cardinals. I think this game goes either way. But I feel like with the addition to Alex Smith in the offseason, I think that's going to be the difference here. This is the type of game where Alex Smith can be a game manager. And I feel like this is going to be the case. So I think the Redskins are going to win this game, and they're going to come from behind in this one, is what I'm guessing. I feel like they're going to win in the fourth quarter when they're behind. Because that's kind of what Alex Smith kind of does, is he just manages the game. Whether it's trying to come from behind in the regular season or just trying to hold on to a lead. I think the Redskins get the win here. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. I'm taking Carolina in this matchup. I just think the Cowboys are going to start off 0-1. That seems to always be the case most of the time. I just feel like the Panthers, I feel like they're going to be able to exploit some missing pieces in that Cowboys offensive line. Next are the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears are coming off their big trade for Khalil Mack. The trade was for Khalil Mack. They gave away in exchange 2 first-round picks, a first-round pick in 2019 and a first-round pick in 2020. Could John Gruden be playing mind games with the NFL because he's trying to build a future? He knows the future isn't going to start until Brady's retired, Roethlisberger's retired, and Philip Rivers is retired. Could he be playing mind games with us? Who knows? Could he have been studying the great trade robbery? Who knows? But this Bears defense, I've been saying for a long time, this Bears defense is very underrated. And I still think that way. But I just think the Packers on Sunday night and in Lambeau Field is going to translate to a Packers win. I'm taking the Packers, but bold prediction, only by 7, 31-24. And we have 2 Monday night games this week. It's always a special for the first week. The New York Jets versus the Detroit Lions. Sam Darnold is getting the nod to start for the Jets, the 3rd overall pick in this year's NFL draft. I think he's going to be pretty solid, but I don't think he's going to ball out necessarily. Well, he could ball out, but I think Matthew Stafford will ball out more. That Jets defense, underrated last year. The Jets, I just feel like they overachieved last year. In fact, they definitely overachieved. A lot of people expect them to go 0-16 last year, but they won 5 games. They could have easily won about 8 or 9 games. But a lot of the times they just let games slip away from them. This could be a game where they let slip away from them. Well, if it's the inexperience of Darnold, or if it's something on defense, or even a controversial call by the referees. But I think the Lions are going to win this game. I just think Matthew Stafford in the 4th quarter could come through in the clutch. But this could be a dangerous game to bet on if you're doing spreads. Just saying. And finally, we have the Los Angeles Rams versus the Oakland Raiders. I know, like I've said on social media, that I'm not sold on the Rams defense. And honestly, if I made this video back on maybe the 28th, I'd probably say the Raiders would win this game. But now with the the departure of Khalil Mack, I think the Rams are going to win this game now. I know I was saying that, I know I was kind of talking smack over the offseason about when they added Talib and they added Marcus Peters and Ndamukong Suh. I kind of wasn't sold on the Rams defense, but I think I might be for this game. I thought they'd start off 0-2, but I guess not now. Although, with Khalil Mack not being on the Raiders anymore, it could be one of 2 things. One, it's just a huge gash for the team, and they tank in Gruden's first season. Or number 2, they know that what the plan is, they trust the process, kind of like the 76ers have. Or 3, he was kind of a toxic waste of the team, and now this team just has a new jolt of energy, and they're going to come out and beat the Rams by 20. But I kind of think it's option 1. Or it could be some of option 2. But I would lean more towards option 1. But I feel like I think depending on how the Raiders come out or how they perform in week 1 will determine which one of those 3 it was. But right now I think it's the first one. Especially with year 2 of Jared Goff and Sean McVay. I'm taking the Rams to win. So those are my picks for review. I've got the Eagles, Steelers, Colts, Titans, Vikings, Patriots, Saints, Jaguars, Ravens, Chiefs, Seahawks, Redskins, Panthers, Packers, Lions, and Rams all winning this week. Stay tuned later this week for 5 picks against the spread. They're going to be on this board right here. I will see you then. Like, subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends and family. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone. But before I sign off, subscribe to Quincy Bell Sports. I promised him I was going to give him a shout out a long time ago, but I've been forgetting. So I'll put the link of his channel in the description box down below. Huge Bears fan. He was excited about the Khalil Mack trade. In fact, he made a video about himself. as of the time of recording this, it has almost 500 views. So go ahead and check him out. Also subscribe to him as well. All right, see you next time. Have a wonderful day.